Hello everyone, I'm Mike DeAngelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your video review of Borderlands by 2K Games and Gearbox Software. Over the past several years, games like Bioshock and Fallout 3 have been popularizing the shoot and loot genre. Borderlands has had a long journey from concept to completion, and even went through a graphical overhaul, but finds itself strapped into that same genre. Shoot and loot games are good when they effectively combine the RPG elements of games like Diablo and Baldur's Gate, with the first or third person shooter gameplay similar to just about any shooter on the market. Borderlands follows in the footsteps of those other post-apocalyptic FPS RPG hybrids. But, does the game offer enough original content and style to hold its own?
You want to hear a story, huh?
Many people have argued that Borderlands features no story, and comparing it to some of the other games that came out in the third quarter of 2009 does little to bolster the game's case. A story does exist, but it's rather insubstantial. The game begins as Marcus, a bus driver and avid firearms salesman, spoon-feeds the story to the player. People have heard rumors and legends about a vault containing great power hidden somewhere on the planet of Pandora. You play the part of a mercenary who's come to Pandora to put the myth to the test, and find the treasure that the vault is hinted to protect. As the game progresses, you are steered towards your objectives by quests, delivered to you by a variety of other characters, including survivors of the bandit-ridden planet, as well as small funny robots, and even a guardian angel. None of those quests really lend themselves to the story. It ends up feeling more like a game of Go Fetch, except for one or two quests that really seem to connect to each other. The characters, too, seem one-dimensional, except for a small cast of shining stars who really stand to make the story pertinent at all.
Welcome to Firestone. I am CL4PTP. You may call me by my locally designated name, Claptrap. Before continuing...
Borderlands' strong suit is in its gameplay. It takes the shoot and loot genre and rolls with it, fast and furious. The pace is quick, the enemies are plenty, and the cooperative play is handled very well. The framework of the game is in its first-person shooting structure. 4 character classes are available to the player and fill an assortment of roles, including a sniper, a melee specialist, a rogue, and support. Each of the classes finds strength in at least one of the gun categories, which consist of everything from pistols and machine guns to sniper rifles and rocket launchers. The role-playing level-building part of the game is what really gets the ball rolling. The game is full of endless possibilities, the characters and the equipment all able to be tweaked and customized by the player to find their optimal playing preference. Characters can be assigned skill points and class mods to affect their damage type, regeneration of health and ammo, and the capacity of loot the party will find. The guns, shields, and grenades are dropped in high quantities, and have varying damage, firing speed, and reload rates. The game becomes an addiction of just finding the next big weapon. Combat itself is addicting as well. Because the game thrives on choice, you can tackle your enemies in a bunch of different ways. If you want to get a jump on your enemies, you can take them out from behind the scope, picking them off from far away. Or if you decide you'd rather not toil away firing bullets into a pack of bandits, a vehicle is never far away. Boss fights are punishing, especially if you don't grind, but my complaint doesn't lie there. Instead, the problem seems to stem from the fact that just about any boss can be picked off by exploiting the game's environment. While I am happy that I was able to progress through the title, it just seemed cheap that I constantly found a loophole around the otherwise difficult bosses. In an industry where grays and browns and blacks are thrown onto a screen with a little shine and called next-generation graphics, Borderlands boldly takes a stand and takes a chance with its presentation. The visuals have a cartoony black outline that make everything look somewhat cel-shaded. Normally, I would look at this as an opportunity for the developer to substitute substance for style, but the game's graphics seem to match up to the basic feel of the rest of the experience. Borderlands is not a game that takes itself seriously. A few minutes into the game, a dancing robot will make that inexplicably clear. It's a lighthearted endeavor filled with blood and gore, which seems like an odd mashup, but plays out fairly well. The sounds get a little redundant. How many times can you hear,
"It's time for my pound of flesh,"
before it feels old and tired? And really, why would every person on Pandora say that exact thing? But this really isn't a bad thing, and certainly nothing that glaringly sets the game back. Other sound bits are fun and jovial, and the screams of burning enemies were captured really well. The presentation doesn't jump out at you, but if you're not looking for flaws, you probably won't see them. Because of the nature of the game, the endless customization of your character's skills and your weapons, it seems as if the fun would never end. Throw in the other 3 characters that you didn't first play as, and the multiplayer component, and you've got a game that definitely pushes the boundaries. And, with an announcement that the game's first downloadable content will come out before the end of November, it seems that the world of Pandora will only stretch further. Borderlands is not the next Modern Warfare, Halo, or Gears of War. It doesn't feature a really fleshed out story, and the events of the game aren't really breathtaking or jaw-dropping. There are a lot of flaws and glitches, but the game is still addictively fun in spite of them. With a respectable score of 8.5 out of 10, and nearly 500,000 copies sold in its launch month alone, it's no wonder Gearbox is already saying that Borderlands 2 is a no-brainer.